Okay, now this is the home stretch. This is for the Warhol, the museum grade Warhol. After you've made it through the color palette selection and the degradation selection, you are now ready to repo or reposition these again. So we're continuing to enhance the hand worked feel of this thing. The first thing we're going to want to do is we want to turn these folders into smart objects. If you have an older version of Photoshop, it may not have smart objects, but I think the last 2 or 3 versions have smart objects. So just click, right mouse click, and convert to a smart object. And it creates an image that looks like this in your layer panel. Zoom in on the upper left layer. And we want to go to 100% so we can see exactly what it looks like. And we want to blur it. What do we do? Gaussian blur at 2, or 0.2 actually, so super subtle Gaussian blur. And what that's going to do is that's going to help, wherever there were sharp lines, it's going to help soften them a little bit. So okay, and now we want to take that layer and we want to transform it, and we're going to shrink it down a little bit. So what you want to do is make sure you're still selected on the upper left panel. Command T for transform, and you'll get a pattern that looks like this. So the crosshairs there, or the X there, and we want to change it up here. We want to create, first of all, make sure your chain is selected so the height and width are linked, so they change at the same ratio. And instead of 100%, let's make that 98%. There we go. It should shrink it down just a hair. Now, in keeping with our hand worked look, we want up here, that little thing right there means degrees, so it's going to tilt it left or right, and we want to tilt it to the right, I believe. We want to do very subtly, but 0.2 degrees. And what that's going to do is it's going to, I don't know if you can tell, but it's kind of off a little bit. Let's go up there, see if you can see it there. See, it's kind of uneven. That's good. That's what we're hoping for. So let's agree to that. Hit return, and it'll commit to it. The reason we're doing that is because Warhol would lay these out on the floor of the factory, his studio. He'd lay the paper flat, and then he would take a screen and set it down on top of the image. Now, you can line that up by eye, but you're never going to line it up, as perfect as a computer would. And it's going to be off a little bit, offset a little bit. And that's why we tilted it just a hair. And the trick is subtle, because a good artist has a good eye and is usually pretty close in lining things up. But we want to just keep just a hint that it wasn't absolutely computer perfect. Okay, so we want to do the same thing with the right panel. Convert to smart object. And we want to blur it the same. So blur, Gaussian blur, still 0.2. So to soften a little bit. And we want to transform this one too, so Command T. Okay, and again, make sure they're linked. 98% on this one. 98, 98. Oh, we didn't have to because it was linked. And you know what? We're not going to tilt this one. We'll just leave that one like this one we got pretty good. So click OK, return on that. And that should commit to that. And then, okay, now we're going to click on this one. You know what? I'm going to do the Gaussian blur on that one. Didn't look like I took on that one, so we'll just do a quick. There we go. Okay, there we go. And okay, now the lower left panel, convert to smart object. Okay. Yep, still waiting. Okay. and transform this one too. Make sure your link is selected there. 98. And you know what? We're going to throw this one off a little bit. But just to change it up a little bit, we're going to do minus 0.2 degrees, so it'll tilt in the other direction. Okay, that. And then, whoop, we want to, did we blur that one? No, we didn't blur that. Let's blur that one too. Sorry, I'm going a little out of order here, but it's all right. As long as the job gets done. Click OK. Okay, and the same with the right panel. Convert to Smart Object. Okay, Command T and link and 98 on this one, and no tilt on this one. We'll just leave this one alone. Okay, agree to that. Okay, now what we want to do is we want to make the canvas slightly larger because we want a little more border around the tops and bottoms and the left and the right here on the very outer edge. So let's go up to Image, Canvas Size, and let's make it percentage. Let's make it say like, let's try 102%. Let's see what that looks like. That might be too much, but let's find out. That should work. Still thinking about it. Okay, now the background obviously is now larger than our background paper. So select the background paper and make sure this is black and white over here. And now what we're going to do is we're actually going to fill that in again so it's one solid color so you don't see the transparent check marks, not check marks, the checkered pattern back there. But we don't want to do perfect white. We want to offset a little bit. So select select your background color, which is white, and we want to change these callouts, these color, the red, green, and blue RGB. We want to change those to 240, 233, and 220, and that should give us just kind of a dirty white, and that's the idea. Okay, so this background, your background now should be dirty white. And make sure your paper is selected still and hit Command Delete. And that should fill it now with that dirty white. That's good. Okay, now what we want to do is we're going to add one more layer of degrading through all of this. But we just want to do it to the image areas. We don't want to affect the paper itself. So what we're going to do is we're going to Command select each panel. Whoop, I did it wrong. Sorry, Command Shift each panel. There we go. So it's collectively adding them. There we go. Command Shift until all 4 panels are selected. Now go up into we have another image that we created earlier that we want to now use. This is the one that was pretty big. So we want to go to Final Degrade Pull. And that's the one that looks like this, if you remember that tutorial. All right, now Command A for select all and copy. And now on this one, we want to paste into again. So edit, paste special, paste into. There we go. It's at the bottom of the stack. So let's move it to the top of the stack so we can see it. And as you can see, it's too small. Not a big deal. All we do is make sure you're selected on the left one, not the right one, the left one. And Command T. And just scale it up. And you can scale it up proportionally by holding down Option and Shift. And it'll keep the proportions in. And just, like right about there. And for some reason, it's a little off on mine, but that's all right. Oh, I know why. Yeah, that's all right. As long as it covers the image area. Okay, and now what we want to do is we want to let's apply the layer mask again. Let's call this Final degrade. And now we want to overlay this. Go to your transfer modes and overlay. Cool. All right. Now, and we on this image, we want to just put in there just ever so slightly. So it creates an image again that there's paper involved, that there was uneven ink that was involved, different densities of ink made it over the thing in different ways. And let's zoom in so you can actually see, you can see it from afar, but see what it's doing up close. Computer's catching up. There we go. Okay, we're going to look around here. I'm going to look a little quick tour. My computer's struggling here. Okay, it's very subtle, but can you see the different densities of blue here? Watch what happens when I turn it off. It'll become one solid color. See? Boom, 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 and it enhances all the inks a little bit more, or what we want to appear to be ink. Very nice. Okay, so that creates the handmade look. If you have any questions regarding this or any other video, feel free to post in the comments section and I'll see if I can clarify. Also, if you have an idea or a style that you've always wanted to know how to do, drop me a line and we'll see if we can't put together a tutorial and solve your creative riddle. If this tutorial has piqued your interest in Andy Warhol, the pop art movement, or modern art, click the link below to our blog and continue your investigation into one of the most culturally influential artists of the late 20th century.